A top WWE star is skipping crown jewel. Plus, we are going to talk about so much more, some controversies, and some very interesting thoughts on a former WWE star headed to the UFC. We're going to talk about it right here, right now on the Ango Show. Welcome back to the Ango Show. I want to kick things off with some very interesting news surrounding WWE SummerSlam. A very interesting article went out today that the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority is using portion of federal pandemic relief funds to secure WWE SummerSlam. That is the headline. Bergen Record via Katie Sobko has a story about the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority approving $7.125 million to assist MetLife Stadium with securing SummerSlam. This plan is essentially, the city or, the authority is essentially using COVID relief funds from the COVID-19 stimulus package that New Jersey received from the federal government. Now, it is said that the funds can be used to respond to the negative economic impacts of the public health emergency by providing aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. SummerSlam is expected to have a total economic impact of over $80 million for the region. Now, one thing that is very interesting about this article is that I've read a little bit of backlash on social media. A lot of people have been talking about this and they're saying this isn't fair because it comes from COVID relief. And quite honestly, I don't know enough about these COVID relief packages, but what I will say is this. Tourism was down during the pandemic, obviously, and it's not like New Jersey is quite the tourism spot. So I could understand from that perspective as to why maybe that would be done. Now, as far as this being, a good or bad thing, I honestly can't tell you guys how I feel about it because I just genuinely don't know how those stimulus packages worked. It's been 4 years since COVID. So why hasn't that money been spent? I don't know. Is there anything else they can do with that money that it would be approved for? I don't know. Have they used this for other events, or is WWE the only event that they've used this for? I simply don't know. I've read a lot of the backlash on social media, and I think this is one of those things where it's not the first time it's happened. I think maybe it's just a little bit more prevalent because we cover WWE every single day. But yeah, this is one of those things where we'll kind of have to wait and see. Obviously, WWE is a hot commodity these days. People want WWE to come in, and it is there's no understating how great of an impact WWE has on the economics of a city or a region when they go. I know even when WWE came to Detroit last year for SummerSlam, it was a very, very big thing for the city of Detroit, and a lot of local businesses benefited from it. And tourism is not big in Detroit, but it ended up becoming a very big deal. So that is something that is very intriguing to me. Our next topic is Gable Steveson. This is very interesting. John Jones, world heavyweight champion of the UFC, he has posted some sparring videos and training videos on Instagram with Gable Steveson. Now, you might be wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, there has been a ton of talk about Gable Stevenson's future. He didn't work out in WWE. He was let go of the WWE. He signed with the Buffalo Bills training camp team. And, thinking everybody thought he was going to pull a Brock Lesnar and go to the NFL. Well, unfortunately, he was cut from the NFL earlier this year. And on top of that, there's been rumors that he was going to go to the UFC, but we haven't seen a glimpse of that happening yet. Now, you have to wonder if Gable Steveson will, in fact, go to the UFC, especially training with John Jones. He's getting ready for a fight with Stipe Miocic. I think this is a very interesting situation because TKO is all one company, right? So we got the UFC, we got WWE. Gable Steveson was part of WWE, didn't work out in the NFL. Now he might be getting another contract from TKO, but this time to be part of the UFC. It's really interesting, man. I think a lot of people look at this guy and thought immediately he should have gone to the UFC and not the NFL. And quite frankly, I was shocked that he even went to the WWE at first. But he couldn't get the hang of WWE. Now, from a collegiate wrestler's perspective, right? Like from that perspective of things, he does have experience wrestling, and him training with John Jones is actually a good thing for if he's going to get into the MMA world. But I'm shocked that he never went to the UFC. And I do think Dana White would bring him in. Dana White is one of those guys. He doesn't care about people's backgrounds. He doesn't care about people's political views. He doesn't care about, really anything for the most part. I think Dana White has been very clear as to when it comes to bringing in talent. He just wants to put on the best shows and the best fights. And in the UFC, some people criticize the UFC for this, but this has become one of the situations where it's pretty often where you will see talent in the UFC and they might say a whole bunch of controversial stuff, but Dana White doesn't restrict people from doing that. And, you just see guys like, Gable Stevenson's one that came from WWE and obviously collegiate wrestling. But, there was Greg Hardy, who was an NFL player, and he also had a controversial past, and Dana White still put him on there. So this is one of those things where it's wait and see, but I could definitely see the UFC bringing him in. The only thing that's very interesting to me here is, would Gable Steveson go to the UFC, and then would there be cross promotion with him specifically and the WWE? Because I don't think WWE ever really wanted to get rid of Gable Steveson, but I think WWE knew that it was an uphill battle, and because it was an uphill battle, they kind of looked at it from a perspective of like, hey, probably shouldn't bring him in, probably shouldn't put him on the main roster, and whatever it may be. And that brings us to our final topic of today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, CM Punk is reportedly skipping out on Crown Jewel. And, it's really interesting. There hasn't been a statement made by CM Punk or the WWE, but CM Punk basically gave us a goodbye promo. It's not a, goodbye for good. It's a see you later type of thing. He dropped this promo on WWE Raw. Social media immediately reacted to this because CM Punk was somebody who was outspoken about WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia in the past. Crown Jewel is taking place in just 4 weeks. CM Punk basically comes back from this Hell in a Cell match. He says he hasn't seen his wife in 5 weeks. He just got his ass beat at Hell in a Cell. This guy is clearly not going to WWE Crown Jewel. Quite frankly, WWE doesn't need him at Crown Jewel. They already teased, they planted another seed for him and Seth Rollins, which is great. WWE already has 2 matches confirmed for the pay-per-view. You got Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax, and you have Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. It is very, very clear that WWE has something, planned for this event, and WWE is doing the 5 matches per show. I actually want to see WWE do something a little bit different for Crown Jewel. If CM Punk's not going to be on there, that's completely fine. But if Seth Rollins is going to be there, let's get Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. I think that would be an exceptional idea. Also, I think it would be really, really good for WWE and beneficial for the WWE if they were smart enough. I think they would throw a tag team championship match on the card. Now, I don't know if it would be too soon, but we know that Motor City Machine Guns are coming back. They're not coming back, but they're coming into the WWE. So perhaps this would be a time where they can do that. Let's do a multi-man tag team match for the tag titles. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I feel like this would be an opportunity. Just looking at Bad Blood, there were some big matches left off the card. The WWE Championship, World Heavyweight Championship are not being defended. The Women's Championship, World Championship not being defended. Let's do something new. Let's get some fresh faces on the pay-per-view. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.